Sound good?
Yes.
I think we could do. I think we can do this. I think.
I'm out of breath.
Been
running around.
Do you need a minute?
Just go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Anime-Versal Reviews podcast. I almost said AVR squared, but no. This is actually traditional AVR here on the GenreVerse YouTube channel and GenreVerse podcast network, available wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Kyle. This is Christine, our husbando Brian. And if you didn't know we did reviews because you're just a big fan of the reactions, hey, hi, here's the reviews. We're going to be hoping to do more. Christine and I are looking at maybe reviewing, seasons of things after we've finished watching them. There's going to be more movies and things, and anytime there's an episode of something that requires more than 2 or 3 minutes of talk at the end of a reaction, we will do reviews for. So we did them for Chainsaw Man before Classroom of the Elite. That one needs time to talk. Seriously. So lots of other great content here on the channel. Stuff for Marvel, general geek and pop culture, Star Wars, Marvel, all that good stuff. And Brian does YouTube as well, PulpMythos. Check his channel out. Link in the description box below. So, Suzume, guys, something we all really wanted to see from Makoto Shinkai. How would Makoto, right? So, anyways, Shinkai's latest film did Your Name, Weathering with You, and it's here. So let's kind of go and give our spoiler-free thoughts on it. We'll start with Christine.
Okay. I really loved this movie. It was very beautiful. It's not really like a competition or anything, but Weathering with You is still like the best. But this was really good, and honestly, I liked this much better than Belle. Belle was decent, but I was expecting it to be like big. So this one, it felt like on par with what I thought it was going to be. So
Soda and Shinkai are often compared, being contemporaries.
Yeah.
Also, of course, always them being called the next Miyazaki. It's like, no, they're Miyazaki's contemporaries. And Brian, what were your thoughts?
Spoiler free, very good. Beautiful animation throughout the entire thing. Great character stuff. It hits you in the feels at certain moments. It does all the things it needs to do. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I don't want to, like you were saying, comparing other movies. Yeah, Weathering, it's not Weathering with You, but not much is.
Yeah.
It's not quite your name either.
No, it's not. But it's good. It's absolutely worth your time. It's something I look forward to watching again. And the chair, man, I want one.
I know, it was so cute.
I would so buy that.
I, not to sound like an echo chamber, but I also really enjoyed the film. I also feel that, hey, it kind of sucks that we've already seen Your Name and Weathering with You, because man, those are hard things to top. This movie looked amazing, sounded good. I cannot wait for it to actually hit theaters so that we can go see it in theater, because this is one that I want to see on the big screen. Yeah. I think it will really benefit those of you that see it on a big screen versus a screener sent to you at home. Thanks, Sony and Crunchyroll. There's definitely a few things that we'll get into, especially in art and music, that I think actually on the music side did kind of hurt the film, but you guys we'll get there. You guys, Brian, what did you grade this movie?
This, that was hard. I really sat back. I thought really intensely about the grade, and I settled on an A-. That's where I've
Same.
settled. This isn't, this is better than a B plus. This is an A grade film, but to me, it like you said, there's a few little tiny things that bring it down just a little notch, but this is still a must see film. But A minus is where I settled.
And Kristen, you said the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I struggled between B plus and A minus because there's enough little things that kind of bothered me, and it kind of added up. And at the end of there goes our dog, and there goes the cat. I knew she was going to do that. I don't know why she feels the need to either. Oh my goodness! 1 second.
They disagreed with your B plus.
I know they disagreed with my.
They said
with
it's
my
definitely
B+.
an A.
No, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But,
I'm curious. Because I do have there's a few things I could that bothered me, and and
so
little minor things.
With that, let's get into this into the spoilers. As I write down times. Oh my God, I know you guys, because I unless I'm talking and the microphone's active, you probably
I want you to keep all this in.
can't hear her.
Yeah.
But we can hear
It's
her
live.
clearly. So.
Our life.
Well, I have a noise filter, noise gate built into OBS, so anything under a certain amount won't go into the recording, but anything over or anything at all that it's picking up, generally you'll be able to hear it. So, Brian, so spoilers. So I want to kind of break it down into the actual storyline, which is gorgeous. It's very, very personal. This movie, if you were touched by the events of March 11th, 2013. Sorry. If you were, no, it was 2011. Sorry, because I was deployed. I was in Afghanistan when the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami hit, and I was also in Afghanistan in 2013. So I get confused sometimes.
Yeah.
The events of that are big, and I didn't see it in the trailers or anything like that, but I even was like, early on in this movie, I was like, man, are they going to end up like on Japan's east coast, or like in Sendai around there or something like that? Is this going to connect to the earthquake and tsunami? And sure enough, it did. I think I love the road trip aspect of this. The friends that she meets along the way, I really enjoy those characters. The beginning of the film is a bit clunky though, and that's where it lost some points, like right off the bat for me. It felt like trying to shove so much visual exposition and so much character setup without it becoming too dialogue heavy that you end up jumping a lot, and it's kind of jarring, and it took a minute for it to find its groove, and it of course finds that once we're getting on the road trip after shutting the first door, and from there on out, I felt pacing was good. The movie was comfortable. It found its flow, but that beginning aspect of it all to set it all up, because this is a pretty expansive world, and God, you could fill books with backstory to kind of explain everything, and some of these extra connections and mythology, but it was that kind of beginning of it that kind of felt clunky to me. Amazing payoff. I really dig the connection of Japan's. Oh my God, I cannot stand my dog. Who wants a beagle door? You want to shut the door?
Yeah.
Please. Thank you. 1 second, guys.
That's an interesting your take on the beginning, because I do have an issue, but it's a little different. And
yeah. So that I had an issue with, but like I said, it ends up having a great payoff. Everything works real well in the end. Brian, what was your issue in the beginning?
They set up some things that never did have a payoff, and that was like you said, going to the beginning. We're in spoiler territory.
Yeah.
Once we get into the little chair stuff.
Mhm.
We follow several sequences of, you know, Instagram and social media, people, you know, seeing this, what's going on, this chair is running around or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt like they were setting something else up that would have, that there would be more of a, I just thought that would be another plot line, you know, like, oh, people are going to become a problem and we're, you know, we got to be more secretive. And then it sort of just dropped off.
Yeah.
So like you said, they were throwing a lot of things and a lot of ideas. And then once you got past sort of that, once the second arc wrapped, second act, excuse me, and we get into the, you know, the home stretch, it shifted gears, which is fine. All those films do.
Yeah.
In you know, that last 30 or so minutes. But yeah, I thought there was a lot of setup for things that never, you know, just sort of got dropped. But I mean, it didn't bother me, but definitely noticed.
One of the things that also in that same vein was dealing with Daijin and Sa Daijin was just like, what like, I get the idea that the cat, you know, that Daijin was trying to explain to them the whole time and they just kind of misunderstood tracking that. But the whole Sadaijin with the, you know, twisted mean aunt move and how
they didn't explain any of that.
They didn't explain any of that.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Just all of a
That
sudden
was
you see the
weird.
aunt and you're like, the hell? Why is this big cat here?
Yep, and you
So-
feel like you're missing something about the Keystone Guardians, and again, that's where it kind of lost a few points later on in the film for
real
me.
question on that.
Yeah.
Did you get, did the two of you, like I said, they didn't explain it, so this is pure assumption, is the bigger cat was more of a warrior god or whatever, and that moment with the aunt was, I guess it was bringing up her, it was her, those were her thoughts and feelings.
Yes,
And it was
absolutely.
just pushing them out, because one of the greatest scenes in the entire movie, and I thought was brilliant, was when they're in the car. I think it was the car when they're sort of reconciling
on the bike.
on the bike. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she tells her,
Love it.
yeah,
I feel
I
like
meant
that.
those things,
Yeah.
but there's more to it. And
Yep.
I've had a change of heart. But the fact that she didn't say, oh, I didn't mean any of that. No, she's
Yeah.
like, no, those were feelings that I had. Those were emotions
Yep.
that I had. I thought that was
Yeah,
brilliant.
because we can be flawed parents, and sometimes, you know, we try not to feel negatively towards the kids that we're taking care of, but it's going to happen. And when things get really frustrating, there's been times, and I've felt guilty, especially like when Lucas was a baby. It was so hard to get him to sleep, so, you know, just dealing with frustrations. And I don't know what it's going to be like for a teenager, but I mean, it's crazy that a teenager just left. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. And it's like, oh my God, you'd be in so much trouble.
Yeah, I love that moment, and you do get to infer a lot. Like you said, it's bringing out, but you don't know the mechanisms. You don't know, was there meant to be like that. I love that it did it. I have no issues with how the conversation went. It's just the motivation of the cat. You know, a little bit more clarity would have been nice. Yeah, the road trip was great. What did you have a favorite friend that she met along the way, Christine?
Chica.
Chico's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Chica's at least two Chica characters that we know, Kaguya-sama and this one, turn out to be pretty decent characters. So, Brian, what was your favorite part of the road trip?
In the end, when the dude's friend, he was,
That was fun too.
you know, when they first introduced him, I was like, and then when I realized he was going to become a bigger part of the, you know, final act, I don't know, there was something about him that was just funny to me, and there were just tiny little things that was great. And then there was this whole dynamic with her aunt and him, where I'm like, well, is there a little something there? But she has a guy, you know. But I don't know, there was a lot going on. Like you said, none of it's like detailed, but you can infer and assume things. And I don't know, he cracked me up more than once. It was like he was a comedy relief, but not necessarily trying to be a comedy relief character.
Yeah, I'm going to change my answer. The car is my favorite character. The car is my favorite.
The car was great. I love it when the accident happens and the roof finally
It's fixed.
works.
I know, right? Oh my god! And he opens the door and it just falls apart.
off.
It's like, how did you get this lemon?
Just when his
Oh my
ice cream
God.
fell, I laughed so hard, and I don't know why. It was just funny.
Yeah.
This movie had some of the funniest moments out of the last three Shinkai films, of course. And it's hard not to compare them. But this movie, man, it had me rolling. The stuff with the kids, and of course we haven't, Brian's mentioned the chair a couple times, but Sota himself in the chair, out of the chair, all of that, man. He was a great character. I guess we can kind of get talking more about characters like Sota and Suzume themselves now. So let's start with that. Brian, you seem to really dig him.
I mean, the running every time he ran was just great. But going back to the dynamic of her and her aunt, him and it was his grandfather.
Yeah.
Or just this idea of trying to find your own way, trying to do your own thing, but at the same time not wanting to disappoint family. And there, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of little messages there. But that one sequence in the hospital was emotional and sad.
Oh yeah.
But him as a character, I don't know why the sequence in which we finally get to see his view of when he goes to sleep, that's nightmare fuel. The sinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, the way that was animated, brilliant, because I honestly, I don't know if I felt that uncomfortable in a long time watching horror movies or anything. The idea of falling asleep, sinking down into this sort of nothingness like that, the way that was portrayed was.
And I mean, that was used in Get Out.
Yes,
that sinking
absolutely.
thing. Exactly. So I dig it. Kingdom Hearts as well kind of uses that, a little bit lighter, but there's some dark usage of that, but it is great imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And that final shot, it puts a smile on your face, him coming back, and you see time has passed, and
not as much as some people looking over at you, weathering with you in your name.
Yes.
Although God, I can't remember his name right now, the main character from Weathering, but props to my boy who straight up was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go get the girl. I'm gonna flood Tokyo for the girl. My man.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
I will flood the planet for you, baby.
They have boats.
Yeah. Sota, babe, what your thoughts?
I thought he was really cool. But part of me was like, at the beginning, I kept thinking, like, is this your job? Is someone paying you to go around and use a magical key to lock doors? But then it's like, oh, you're a college student, so okay. Because it's like, how do you get paid for that?
I liked that. That was one of my favorite aspects, was the fact that he's a college student. Like, he's doing this in addition to trying to live a normal life. It's almost a Peter Parker type thing, which it makes it relatable, having that ability to go after something higher than yourself.
Yeah, and he's such a strong character because it seems like such a lonely life.
Yeah.
So you're having to go off by yourself and do your work. He comes home to his apartment and it's tiny. He's just all alone.
I'm gonna throttle that dog.
I know, right?
I swear.
And then the grandpa in the hospital, and he's just, he's got a lot going on and not falling apart.
Yeah.
Because that would be hard.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool character. Dug him. Like the chair. Let's talk a bit about Suzume herself, who I found to be one of the most enjoyable Shinkai characters I've seen yet. All of his characters have been great. She is just really, I don't know what word to use.
Brian? I have a thought on her. So typically and this is just me, when you write a character like high school girl or even a guy, and she ran off and she's not communicating with her aunt, and you were like, well, all you have to do is send her a text, blah blah blah. typically that would annoy me. At no point was I ever really annoyed with her character. And that just goes to the development of the character, the writing, because typically a character like this would annoy me or would bother me, but she never did at any point, because everything she did made sense, and I felt it, and I understood why she was doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Very mature,
Yes.
but yet immature.
Yeah,
as a teenager, she's on the cusp of adulthood.
She seemed, that's one of the best ways to put it, Christine. She seemed very much like a real teenager, less like a caricature that you get in movies and television, where they're hyping up a certain aspect of it. Here, you've got someone that's trying to individuate themselves from their parental figure, asserting their control over their life, while at the same time making mistakes, trying to be a decent person, but also kind of dealing with first loves and infatuation with Sota. Her first word upon seeing him is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's from that first moment she's hooked, but she's hooked on a lot of,
he is wonderfully drawn, so
a lot of aspects.
Yeah. I've never been so much into a guy where I'm willing to skip school. So that was funny.
Yeah. It like I said, she's a fun character. She makes like Brian said, she makes sense. And like Christine said, she's pretty realistic. So I think that's why she's so, I guess, relatable or accessible as a character. Yeah. Any other thoughts on her, Christine?
No.
Brian? Any other general thoughts on characters that you wanted to discuss? Brian?
Yeah. Go ahead. Any
other characters?
Like I said, the primary characters we discussed, yeah, they held the film. No.
Christine, you had something.
With like the little characters on the side, everyone taking them in. I thought that was really cool. That's not something that you would get here in America. It'd be kind of scary if you did here.
True.
But yeah, everyone's so helpful.
Yeah. And she tried to, pay everyone back, from the lady that had her watch the kids to help with the karaoke bar. That was hilarious. All of it, helping take care of the inn or whatever it was that Chica and her family ran. And yeah, it was great. That whole aspect is great. As one of two people on here that has partaken in the Great American Road Trip. No, actually, all of us have. We've all been on cross country trips, but Brian and I did it as adults, which was a lot of fun. I totally love a good road trip story. So this was great. This was a lot of fun.
And something else you can relate to Suzume with: you went on a trip without your parents' permission. Yeah.
I mean, they know about it, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't talk about that trip. Kyle, what are these pictures of you and CJ?
You're in trouble now.
Whoops. See, that's the best thing. There's no evidence of the stupid stuff that we did as kids. It wasn't until we started getting, phones and stuff that kids started recording everything. Stop.
Get you in trouble.
Stop recording everything. Anyways, all I did was take a car out of state. I mean, come on now.
I would have been dead.
And I don't mean just over the border, because where we used to live, borders. Tennessee and Kentucky, the area we lived on, you cross that border all the time. No, I crossed into Georgia. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Art and music, if we don't have anything else to dig into otherwise. Art, I would love to discuss first and save kind of the issues I had with music, but also something I liked about the music. So artwork. There is some CGI usage in here that I felt was a bit too much. However, I really do appreciate that they didn't do too much camera movement, that is. There's a lot of visual movement, but but the camera and the angles, they're not trying to be all swoopy and followy when unnecessary, like you get with a lot of 3D anime where they're like, oh, check out this really cool crane shot that we could never do in real life. Well, there's a reason you can't do it in real life, and you shouldn't do it in this either. But beautiful, everything else, the color palette, whenever they're locking doors, man, that looks beautiful, combining blues and oranges, which is something Ghostbusters did, and I always, whenever I see those colors
Portal.
together, it reminds me Portal, because they go real well together. Yeah, man, I think this is definitely one of the best looking films he's had. I think there are certain shots in Weathering with You that I don't know if he'll ever be able to top. And of course, Your Name has got some very, very iconic and beautiful shots as well. But this is a gorgeous film, and I really did like the character designs as well. Christine?
Yeah, I was gonna say Daijin's facial expressions.
Yeah.
Those were so cool because some of them are just like he looks all sweet, and then like the one where he's like grinning, wide-eyed, like really excited. It's kind of like an evil look.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of like, you know, it kind of led to us jumping to conclusions as an audience into that along with the characters. So yeah, I thought he was a really cool character in the way he looked.
I agree. Brian, thoughts on art?
Yeah, beautiful film. You mentioned locking doors. Anytime, even not when it wasn't just the gates, anytime like he was inserted and turned, like the detail, even unlocking her bike. Yeah. Like I just little details like that I love, but that was very consistent throughout the entire film, the idea of locking and unlocking. So yeah, but as a whole, I agree there was a few things the worm or snake thing, I didn't love it. Yeah. As far as design, it wasn't my favorite. There were certain aspects when it was coming out that looked cool, but when you got to sort of see the whole thing,
it's just like a giant earthworm.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I thought it would. Everything else looked so cool, but it served its purpose. It was more of a force of nature, so I get it. But yeah, the film was beautiful. Oh God, real quick on animation, the amusement park sequence with the Ferris wheel and everything.
Cool.
Oh, just even from the distance when people saw the park light up and everything, like a very beautiful scene. I loved all the animation with the Ferris wheel. Great sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the details of like the weathered down everything, like the hometown, Suzume's hometown.
Yeah, devastated by the.
Yeah, just all of that. Like, I just thought it was really cool as well.
It was. It's a wonderful movie, and we didn't even really talk about the whole ending where she hands herself the chair, which is great. Time paradox crap. It bugs the bejesus out of me, but it is what it is. It's wonderful imagery. It was gorgeous, and I liked the Ever After. Was that what they called it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that area. I think it's gorgeous. The twilight look, and which harkens back to, at least for me, visually to Your Name, where his twilight artwork in that film is just gorgeous color scheme.
Yeah.
It's almost like blues and purples or something that I like. I don't know. It did it. It looked great. It looked stunning, and I really enjoyed it. So, on the music side, though, I did have some issues, and it's not that anything's bad. It's just that it wasn't as good. And there's some songs that I don't even think I heard that I've got on the soundtrack, and that might be a situation of the screener, but I don't know why music would be different from a screener versus a theatrical release, but maybe because there's some Radwimp songs that I don't necessarily think I heard, but they're on the soundtrack, and maybe I just
too engrossed in the story,
maybe. But that's also kind of the problem is unlike Weathering with You, where I can pick them out and I can remember where they go in the movie. I just remember kind of being like, man, it's not hitting for me. Where is that song
little
for
extra
for this movie? And the one called Suzume, which you kind of hear at the beginning with the high pitched, higher pitched female vocals. Do 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 do.
Yeah.
That one. I wasn't gonna try to do it.
Yeah, it's
for
okay.
Real. But there's others that I just didn't hear. Am I alone in that, Brian? Or what was your feelings on this movie's soundtrack and songs?
It was adequate. It was fine. Like you said, it wasn't like, it's not a 10 out of 10, but I thought it was pretty solid. You know, I love soundtracks, and there are certain films where, you know, I'll get to the end credits and I just sit there and I'm like, I will be buying the soundtrack, you know. And this one didn't necessarily hit like that. Now that, you know, you mention it, but there were a few parts where I thought it was very well. There were a few little things and song, you know, music that did well.
I think that Weathering with You just spoiled us, because it really plays with your senses.
Yeah.
And
it's an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah. So it's like, it's hard, you know, because you're trying not to compare, but you can't help it.
Yeah. I think, and here's one of the pluses for music in this. I love during the road trip that they're using, you know, Japanese road trip. I'm guessing, you know.
Yeah. One of the
similar
songs.
to Westerners.
Yeah.
You have
I
like
love all
road trip songs, pop rock songs, you know, things that are here in the West, a very Americana type thing to have. I can see that being similar in Japan, you know, where your parents are listening to their favorite songs on their road trip, and I liked that. So I did like that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting any of that. So I heard one of the songs play, and I'm just like, isn't that from Kiki's Delivery Service? So, and then I was like paying attention. And yeah, the songs were beautiful.
Yeah. So maybe they sacrificed some places for other songs with the ability to do that, which I'm okay with. So yeah. Any other thoughts on music, Brian? No. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. I don't have anything else. You guys don't have anything else to say about Suzume. Highly recommended from all three of us. Does my B+ seem so unfair now?
That's fair.
We'll allow it.
I wanted to give it
the
an
only
A
thing
minus. I did.
Film wise, I agree. Everything you said was very made sense. I disagreed with your Belle review, but
you know what's funny is you out of the 5 people that reviewed that well, I don't know if Nick and Danny did on Breaking Geek, but Jammer, Jonesy, myself, you, Brian, and Christine, you two are the only ones that liked it. Like Jammer and Jonesy, no, me highly disappointed, and I know you guys have sort of films you like more.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys actually like that one, and yeah, interesting. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Anime-Versal Reviews. If you like what you saw, if you're into reactions, please do check out, where's my button? Check out the GenreVerse YouTube channel for all of that, reviews and reaction stuff for Star Wars, Marvel, general geek and pop culture entertainment, trailer reactions, and more. If it's not a reaction video, goes up on our podcast network on all your favorite podcast apps, and of course lrmonline.com for written reviews, news articles, reviews, and things like that. Brian does YouTube as well. Tell him about that, Brian.
Channel's called PulpMythos. Go give it a subscribe. Content's on the way. It's already been shot. It's got to be edited, and yeah.
Alrighty, that's it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.